On the news tonight, federal government urged to ensure a more efficient distribution system of petroleum products. Salaries of legislators and executive members slashed by 30 and 40%. Nigeria Airlines delisted from the United States Federal Aviation Administration Category 1 status. Abroad, nationwide strike Israel to pressure government release of hostages by Hamas. Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining us on Delta Television News tonight. My name is Onome Iyaruwe. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASAN, has reiterated the need for the federal government to develop and strengthen the country's value chain to ensure a more efficient and reliable distribution system of petroleum products, warning that without these improvements, the country would continue to face recurring fuel shortages. President of PENGASAN, Comrade Festus Osifo, speaking on the present fuel crisis, said the fuel queues across the country was due to a weak distribution chain within the downstream sector of the oil and gas industry. Comrade Osifo said that Nigeria's distribution chain using trucks on the nation's bad roads was outdated and insufficient to meet the demands of its large population. The PENGASAN president, who doubles as the president of Trade Union Congress TUC, noted that the method was vulnerable to disruptions, including bad roads and flooding, which can lead to fuel scarcity. He reasoned that the high cost of production in Nigeria, which is 15 to 20% higher than other parts of the world, was partly due to the burden of security on oil and gas companies. He said Comrade Osifo charged the government to take over security responsibilities from investors, which will significantly reduce production costs. The PENGASAN boss further urged the government to strengthen laws and sanction those involved in oil theft, while advocating for harsher penalties on electoral matters, has proposed a slash in salaries of legislators and executive members by 30 and 40%. The proposal was made today during the interactive session with judiciary and political parties led by the chairman, Senate Committee on Electoral Matters, Senator Sharafadin Ali, on the National Assembly Review and Amendment of the Electoral Act 2022. According to them, the salaries of legislators should be reduced by 30%, while that of the executive be reduced by 40% to cut costs. During the session, political parties also proposed that all elections, presidential, National Assembly, governorship, and state houses of assembly be conducted in a single day, asserting that the current staggered system of elections is not cost-effective. They also proposed the continuous voter registration among parties also maintained that the appointment of the Independent National Electoral Commission chairman should no longer be the responsibility of the executive. Rather, it should be advertised to interested parties. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Joint Committee has promised to interact with INEC and Nigerians across board for robust feedback to minimize disruption. Regulatory body, the Federal Aviation Administration (FAA), stipulates that nations who has failed to operate in the United States under the open sky agreement between it and the US for at least 2 years will have its entire sector and airlines designated to America undergo recertification. The new rule, which took effect a few months ago, has technically delisted Nigeria from the Category 1 aviation status. The recertification involves a process that includes scrutiny of airport security, airport facilitation, airline audit, and the type of aircraft to be used for the operations to the US by the designated airline or airlines. This implies that no designated airline from Nigeria can operate in the US at the moment, except through a third party. Air Peace and United Nigeria Airlines, designated to Washington and Houston, Texas, may see their plans to launch flights to the two cities hampered at least until they are certified continent have funded infrastructure, but also stoked controversy by saddling countries with huge debts. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has directed its members to resume work today, following a 7-day nationwide warning strike embarked upon by its members over the abduction of their colleague, Dr. Ganiyat Popoola. Dr. Popoola was kidnapped 8 months ago. NARD, however, said it will review the federal government's commitment to resolving its demand in the next 3 weeks. NARD began a 7-day warning strike last week, Monday, to press for the rescue of Dr. Popoola, a registrar in the Department of Ophthalmology at the National Eye Center, Kaduna. She was abducted on December 27, 2023, along with her husband and nephew. While her husband was released in March, Dr. Popoola and her nephew remain in captivity. The federal government on Thursday said it would invoke the no work, no pay policy for the striking resident doctors. But the doctors said they were unmoved by the threats. NARD President Dr. Dele Abdullahi said they are suspending the strike now and would be meeting to review the progress the government has made in the next 3 weeks. The Federal Ministry of Solid Minerals Development has taken decisive action against illegal mining in Ondo State, prosecuting several suspects as part of its ongoing efforts to reform the mining sector. The Special Assistant on Media to the Minister, Mr. Segun Tomori, disclosed this today in Abuja. The operation was part of a broader initiative to enforce existing mining regulations and crack down on illegal mining across the country. According to reports, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Mr. Dele Alake, emphasized that federal government is committed to sanitizing the 70-strong mining marshals drawn from the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps are a key component of his 7-point agenda aimed at reforming the sector. The report reaffirmed government's dedication to eliminating illegal mining through enhanced operations of the mining marshals, including the use of technology and the upcoming implementation of satellite monitoring of mining sites. Mr. Tomori noted that during a recent operation, codenamed Operation Hayakin Kogo, conducted by the mining marshals in the community of Ampa local government area of Kogi State, 2 Chinese nationals and a Nigerian were arrested for engaging in mining activities without proper authorization. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, says it has capacity to transmit 6,000 megawatts of electricity to distribution load centers nationwide. The managing director of TCN, Mr. Sule Abdulaziz, while speaking with newsmen in Abuja, said that in the last 3 years, TCN had upgraded several substations, adding that the company had also built new substations funded through its internally generated revenue, IGR, and donor agencies. The TCN boss said that the company had installed new transformers to ensure Residential Power Initiative, PPI, as undertaken by the federal government of Nigeria Power Company, FGNPC. Justice Emeka Wite of the Federal High Court in Abuja has remanded the 10 End Bad Governance protesters in prison. The judge today remanded 9 male protesters in the Kuje prison, while a female protester was remanded in Suleja. The court also fixed September 11 for trial and ruling on bail application by the protesters. This followed the arraignment of the protesters for alleged treason, mutiny, and intent to destabilize Nigeria. The 10 persons who were arraigned before Justice Emeka Nwite are Michael Adaramoye, also known as Lenin, Adeyemi Abayomi, Suleiman Yakubu, Obolowa Simon, and Angel Innocent. Others are Buhari Lawal, Musiu Sadiq, Bashiru Bello, Nuruddin Kamis, and Abdul Salam Zubairu. The defendants, who all pleaded not guilty, were arraigned on 6 counts of alleged treason, intent to destabilize Nigeria, conspiracy to commit felony, and inciting to mutiny, which is an offense punishable under Section 97 of the Penal Code. The defendants are equally accused of levying war against the state to intimidate President Bola Tinubu by attacking and injuring police officers and burning police stations, government buildings, and private buildings. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, has confirmed that between 20 to 30 persons tried to intrude the nation's airports through its perimeter fence every night. The Director of Aviation Security Services, Mr. Afegbari Igwafu, said AFSEC, however, increased patrols and launched joint operations with military forces as part of efforts in addressing the long-standing issue of perimeter fencing breaches. He also disclosed that perimeter fences of the airports have been destroyed by neighboring communities. The retired police boss, however, expressed AFSEC's commitment to embracing artificial intelligence (AI) for enhanced security monitoring, adding that the agency is exploring AI-powered access control systems to detect potential threats and respond to staff certifications and ensure adherence to international standards. The Nigeria police has declared one Mr. Andrew Wine, a British national, also known as Joe Pove, wanted for allegedly plotting to overthrow President Bola Tinubu's government. The spokesman of the Nigerian Police Force, Mr. Olumuyiwa Adejobi, today disclosed this at the force headquarters, Abuja. Mr. Adejobi said the Briton rented a space at Labour House, Abuja, for an Eva Valley bookshop and established Stars of the Nation schools as a cover for his subversive activities. The police spokesman, Adejobi, also said that a documentary evidence and confessions revealed that Mr. Wine issued directives and monitored the progress of the August protests. The senior police officer added that the foreigner provided finance and operational guidance to achieve unconstitutional regime change in Nigeria. The force said it had specifically launched a comprehensive investigation on how foreign mercenaries plotted to overthrow the democratically elected government of Nigeria. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, said that 21 candidates with fake JAMB results were recommended for 2023 admissions by various institutions. JAMB, in a policy document, noted that 12 out of the 21 candidates were recommended by the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. The board said that the 21 candidates who paraded fake JAMB results were recommended during the 2023 admission and were not approved. JAMB, in 2021, unveiled the Nigerian Post-Secondary Education Data System Verification Platform for the verification of JAMB and JUPEB results. The unveiling followed professional operation undertaken by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Education on irregularities and faking of results as contained in a recent statement by the examination subsector over the years are not eroded by unscrupulous individuals who do not mean well for Nigeria. The military high command has debunked claims of the abduction of 150 persons by terrorists in Gobir in Sokoto State. A statement signed by the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, said the incident of mass killing and burial depicted by terrorists in a trending video happened in a nearby African country and not Nigeria. General Buba, in the statement, explained that on the 29th of August 2024, at about 5 p.m., troops of Operation Hardin Daji deployed at the local government area of Zamfara State embarked on fighting patrol to dislodge terror gathering at Kwashabawa village, and during the fight, while attempting to outflank the terrorists, Quantity 2 of troops, MRAP, got bogged down due to the swampy terrain occasioned by the rains. The statement added that the troops dismounted and demobilized the MRAP when efforts to backload them were futile. Welcome back to Delta Television Main News. The global scene is next as we join our World News Desk.
A nationwide strike in Israel aimed at disrupting major sectors of the economy in an effort to pressure government to secure the release of hostages held by Hamas began today. But a top labor court quickly ordered it to end, citing its politically motivated nature. The general strike today morning brought tens of thousands to the streets, but was ignored in some areas, underscoring profound political divisions in the country. Israeli protesters took to the streets for a second day today, and the largest trade union launched a general strike to press the government to reach a deal to return hostages still held by Hamas after 6 more captives were found dead in Gaza. The strike disrupted transport and medical services in several Israeli districts, and many shops and businesses were closed after the head of the Histadrut union, which represents hundreds of thousands of workers, called for a general stoppage. Crowds estimated by Israeli media to number up to 500,000 strong had demonstrated in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and other cities, demanding that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu do more to bring home the remaining 101 hostages, about a third of whom Israeli officials estimated have died. Police in Tunisia have arrested one of the 2 approved challengers to incumbent President Kais Saied in next month's election. The opposition candidate's staff have said Ayachi Zamel was detained in the early hours of today for allegedly falsifying details of those who backed him. His arrest comes as President Saied faced accusations of trying to restrict the number of those allowed to run against him. Since he won his first term in 2019, the president has suspended parliament and concentrated power in his hands. Meanwhile, Tunisia's Electoral Commission has rejected an administrative court ruling that had reinstated 3 presidential election candidates, leaving just 2 challengers to face incumbent leader Kais Saied in next month's vote. Tunisia's electoral authority today announced it had approved 3 presidential candidates for the October 6 election, including incumbent President Kais Saied, dismissing 3 other would-be candidates despite court rulings allowing them to run. The 3 dismissed candidates had last week won appeals at the administrative court against a decision from the High Independent Authority for Elections ISIE, disqualifying them from running. The authority had said they had not obtained enough of the endorsements required to run for the top posts. They were among 14 hopefuls whose bids for the race were rejected. Today, the ISIE said its initial list was definitive and not subject to appeal. It said it was maintaining the same list announced on August 10 because the administrative court did not officially communicate its decision within the 48-hour deadline according to law. As it stands, former parliamentarian Soha Magzoe and businessman Ayachi Zamel are set to challenge President Saied, the election's front-runner.
Let's join our business news desk for happenings in the business sector.
Nigeria's letter of credit payments used for goods importation dropped by 57.04% to $391.91 million in the last 7 months of 2024, compared to $912.35 million in the same period of 2023. This was contained in Central Bank of Nigeria's weekly data on international payments released on its website. Analysis of the data showed that in the period under review, the country's letter of credit payment declined by about $520.44 million. Accordingly, The highest letter of credit payments in the year so far were recorded in February at $102.59 million, followed by July at $79.62 million and $58.33 million in January. Also in March, the letter of credit payment stood at $43.53 million compared to $269 million in the same month in 2023, rose to $54.02 million in April 2024, and dropped to $21.48 million in May before rising to $32.26 million in June. Meanwhile, the development was blamed on factors like the exit of multinationals, sky volatility. Similarly, bank credits to the private sector rose by about 2.3 trillion naira in July 2024, balance sheet resilience and contribution to national economic agenda. The latest report underlined the continuing growth in banks' operations and deployment of funds to the productive sector of the economy. A report by the CBN has shown that Nigeria banks have seen significant increase in deposits during the first half of this year. The report indicated that banks' demand deposits rose from 26.7 trillion naira recorded at the end of December 2023 to 33.0 trillion naira by June 2024. Banks have sustained steady growth in deposits across the quarters. Total demand deposits in the first quarter ended March 2024 had risen by 8.1% to 28.9 trillion naira. In the second quarter ended June 2024, banks' deposits increased by 14.3% to 33 trillion naira. Nearly all banks have seen significant increases in deposits in recent periods, providing the headroom for most banks to create new loans and advances. Electricity distribution companies, otherwise known as DISCOs, were unable to take the full power generation in recent periods, underlying a major challenge in the electricity supply chain. Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabu, yesterday said that power generation had peaked at 5,170 megawatts on Friday, August 30, 2024, but this had to be ramped down by 1,400 megawatts due to inability of DISCOs to pick the supply. He, however, assured that all efforts were on to ensure that the country attains stable power supply. Chief Adelabu, who is in China to attend the China-Africa Cooperation Summit tour of TBEA Southern Power Transmission and Distribution Industry in China, he said the federal government has concluded arrangements to release $800 million for the construction of substations and distribution lines under the Presidential Power Initiative (PPI). The money will ensure the construction of substations for Lot 2, substations and distribution lines for Lot 3 at a cost of 400 million naira each. Lot 2 covers Benin, Port Harcourt, Enugu Discos franchise areas, while Lot 3 covers Abuja, Kaduna, Jos, and Kano Discos franchise areas.
Now to sports. Eniola Bolaji has made history as the first African athlete to win a medal in para badminton, securing a bronze medal for Nigeria in the women's single SL3 category. Bolaji defeated her Ukrainian opponent Oksana Kozina in a straight set 2-0, 21-9, 21-9 to win Nigeria's first Paralympics medal in Paris. Although Bolaji had her sights set on gold, she fell short in the semi-final yesterday, losing 2-0, 16-21, 17-21 to China's Zhu Jian. However, she redeemed herself by clinching the bronze today. Unranked Nigeria women's under-18 team will open the Group C campaign in the FIBA Under-18 Women's Afro-Basket Championship in South Africa against 20th world-ranked team Egypt today. The Nigerian team is at the championship as the FIBA Africa Zone 3 champions and will be